Okay, so my extensions came in, and I got these connected so you can see the flexibility that you get with these. Pretty neat. Yeah, the only problem is I don't think I have any space in my toolbox for this, so I may have to just take them out this plastic cover. Just kind of throw them in my toolbox, which kind of sucks, but oh well. The thing I just kind of noticed is all the knurling, and it's really nice for, grabbing the extension by hand and turning it. That's pretty neat. I was at Home Depot yesterday and I saw these, and they were selling them separate packs, as in quarter-inch, a 3-piece for quarter-inch, 3-piece for 3/8, and so on. And if I remember correctly, like each set was, like $18 to $22, something like that, 25 bucks. So they're trying to charge you, let's just say, an average of $20 per 3. That's $60 plus taxes. It gets pretty expensive. Got these off of eBay for maybe like $23. So sometimes you can't beat the internet. I managed to fit this plastic tray in here, but if you look at all my other extensions, they're just kind of thrown here. Imagine if they all came in their own plastic cases like this. There wouldn't be any space for anything. And sure, you can argue that I could save some space by getting rid of these cases and just switching over to like the little holding racks that hold sockets. But I like to be able to just grab my quarter, 3/8, or half-inch, case and just take it with me. So I don't really think that's an option for me. But I'm at the point where my box is full. It's just full, and I don't have much space for anything. Sure, there's like wasted. Well, I feel like this is wasted space because the drawer is so deep, and yet, I got things in here like just wrenches that lay flat. But it's stuff like this that kind of sticks up that it won't clear inside of other drawers. And I really don't want to buy another toolbox. So here goes my impact screwdriver, and this is the latest one that I purchased, and this is what happened the very first time I tried to use it. So this is why I purchased vessel bits, and they do fit inside of here nicely. So let's see how much or how long these last. Okay, so I'm here working on a Camaro. I think it's a 3.8 liter. And after I took the upper plenum off, tell me why I dropped a fastener into one of the intake runners. And I could not find it for the life of me. I'm in there digging with my magnet, couldn't find it. To the point where I went out and bought this thing, an inspection camera. Anyways, while I was out, I picked up another magnet, one so I could modify. As you can see, I bent the tip right there. So, as much as I like to have one of these, I'm just not, and I just don't want to spend the money right now. So, I put this in there, and it was on one of the back cylinders on top of the valve. So, I got it out with this. The straight one would not do it. So, I don't know. I'm thinking of returning this. It was only $100. What do you guys think? Okay, so the Camaro had a vacuum leak somewhere. So, use my little cheap ghetto setup here, but it works. The only leak I could see was coming right out of the map sensor. So, it was like just spraying right out of here, right out the back. The kit that I had for the intake manifold gaskets did include a new O-ring for this, but when I tried to fit it, it just seemed like it wasn't the right size, like it was just gonna be way too tight. So I was like, I'll do without it. But now that I found out that this is where we have a leak, I put the O-ring on it and just kind of made it fit, and it actually is sealing. So I guess the old one was bigger only because it was so stretched out, but it's no longer leaking right there. So I don't see no other places where smoke is pouring out, so should be okay. Okay, so here we have a Nissan Versa, and last night it left the owner stranded, so he needed a jump start and he drove back home. He's suspecting it's a bad alternator, but I told him if you drove back home, and he said it was a 45-minute drive, there's no way you would have made it back on just the charge of the battery alone if the alternator is not working. So I think the alternator is okay. And in fact, once you jumpstart the car, it actually charges over 14 volts. So it seems to be working fine. Now, if you were to test your battery with a meter like this, you're going to see 12.5 volts and assume the battery is good. And then it's a slippery slope from there, just changing all kinds of stupid parts. But the key here is you can see we're at 12.5 volts here. But when you load test the battery, there you go. Yeah, this battery is done for. So all it needs is a battery. Okay, so we have a Infinity M45, I think. The dash is just lit up like a Christmas tree. Almost every single light is on. And we're at 15 volts right now. There is like a slight noise that sounds like it's coming from the alternator, and the alternator is not going to pick up, but it's right there. And yeah, that voltage is just jumping around. And we're even getting a warning light inside. So charge, as you can see, almost every single light is on. I should add that it does smell like something is burning. The last time I saw an overcharging issue was on a Nissan Murano, and obviously it turned out to be the alternator. Guess what? Nissan Infinity, same garbage. Okay, so we have this Acura CL, and it's back once again. This is the one that I showed the customer that his CV shafts has torn boots on them. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to do the left and the right side. Unfortunately, which is kind of what I expected to see. So, yep. It's always something, right? It's never just one thing. But let's keep going forward with this. Hey guys, Chris Fix here. As you can see, everything's looking great. Out with the old and with the new. See, the passenger side is much worse. And it looks like this side's also going to need an upper control arm. Okay, so I'm finally finished with this Infinity M45. I got the new alternator in there, a new solenoid. Customer wanted me to do it for some reason, so okay. Anyway, you can see now, we are now charging at 14.5 volts. No more 15, 16 volts. Now, the car has been here for about 3 days, and the reason for that is I found out it had a bad pulley on the tensioner, okay? So I told the customer, if you bring me the pulley or the tensioner, I'll replace it free of charge because I'm already in there. It's been here 3 days. It took the guy 3 days to bring me this part. So I'm really frustrated and upset because of this. Thankfully, I'm not busy. I didn't have any other work lined up. But if I did have work lined up that I need to get into my garage, I would have just pushed this thing right out into the street. I mean, you can install me for 2 days over a pulley like this? It's crazy. Okay, so we're back with that Acura CL, and the customer did bring it back to get both of the upper control arm changed. So these are pretty easy. It's just a ball joint. The ball joints are shot on this thing. There's a lot of play in and out. So let's keep going forward with this. Gotta do the other side still. My precious. So here we have a PT Cruiser. I've worked on this one before. The customer is having an issue with the car not wanting to start intermittently. She thinks it's heat related because it'll always start up when it's cold, but after it's warmed up, if she stops for gas or to go to the store, when she comes out, it doesn't want to start. But it's not all the time. It's very intermittent. So she's had the battery replaced. She's had the starter replaced. So it has not been cheap for her. It's been very expensive. So we're just gonna go ahead and check some things and see if we could find a problem. Okay, so I think I'm on the right path. I got the power probe here. This wire that's connected to it is going all the way to the starter solenoid. So it's the wire that gets power only while you're in cranking position. Now let's see, we're grounded right now. Let's go ahead and crank the key over. You can see we get power while the car is cranking. But you see how the power light kind of flashes? I'm not really sure if that's normal. Look, right there, it's acting up. I'm turning the key and nothing. Okay? Now, since the key is not working, let's send power from the power probe. Let's see if the car starts. Okay, so we're on the right path here. Okay, so we can see how loose this is, right? It moves up and down. Now watch this. If I push it, a little bit of tension pushing it upward, the car starts right up, right? Now let's push tension downward. Downward and nothing. Won't start. Now let's push it up again. There's your problem, lady. And just to prove that I'm not forcing it to not start, let's go ahead and just give this a little push upward. Try to start the car. Okay. Turn the car off. But this time, let's go ahead and just give it a little push downward. Nothing special. I'm not applying too much force, okay? So downward, let's see if it starts. That time it did. Let's see. Nothing. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, so it doesn't take much, just a little bit of movement. You can see how it flexes just by turning the key. It actually flexes up and down. Right here is what I hate about winter. The water on the floor. It just really grinds my gears. On this PT Cruiser, we're doing some suspension parts, steering parts. As you can see, it was very loud clunking whenever you go over bumps, and this bushing was completely separated. It just popped right out as soon as I removed the lower control arm. The inner tie rod has a lot of play. There was some in and out movement, so might as well replace the inner and the outer while we're in there. So we got two lower control arms for left and right side. We're only doing the tie rods on the left side and stabilizer links. Look what I found. Well, I guess someone did not have a cotter pin, so I don't know, it looked like a coat hanger. I mean, if it works, right? I guess it's better than putting no cotter pin at all. I just thought it was funny. And here goes the control arm for the right side of the car. Again, same bushing. Let's see if this will come out. Yep. So, oh, even the centerpiece is coming out. Yep, that's how bad these things were. Okay, and we are good to go like the new chicken fajita from Taco Bell. So I found something else that's interesting. So the guy who recently just put a starter on this thing, he had to take off the fan to get to it. But you can tell that's not the correct fastener that belongs right there. Look at this end, it's a pointed end. And that's why he didn't tighten it down all the way, because it would puncture the radiator. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and pull that out and put the correct fastener in there, because I think I have some laying around. Alright, so Nissan's done for. Well, not really, it just needs a head gasket. But yep. It did not take long for that fluid to change from blue to yellowish or greenish. Okay, so as you can see, the vehicle is up to operating temperature, yet the air blowing out the vents feels warm at best. I wouldn't even call it warm. Last time I saw symptoms like this was on this same Sentra. It turned out to be, well, not the same one, but a similar model Sentra. It turned out to be a head gasket. So I think that's what we're looking at here. Another bad head gasket on this 05 Sentra. So the story behind this one is one day a customer came out, it would not start. She said it would crank. It sounded like it wanted to start, but it wouldn't. She gets it towed to a shop. Now keep in mind, this is a shop that about 2 weeks before that, they replaced her thermostat for $190. The thermostat on this vehicle is the easiest thermostat in the world. It's right on top. Could just take minutes. So anyways, they saw an idiot coming from a mile away. They know how she is already because they've dealt with her. She would pay anything, not pay anything, but whatever they told her, who is she to say that they're wrong, right? So anyways, they diagnosed from the towing, they diagnosed a bad head gasket and that the engine is no good and the engine needs to be replaced. So they gave her a $2,000 quote to replace the engine. Okay, so head gasket, yeah, but why do you have to? It's even running right now perfectly fine.